That's right, Fins fans. A lot of finger pointing going on. Going to talk to you guys about it. Everybody getting on Tua. I get it. I totally get it. Welcome, Fins fans. This is Fins Temporal Focus, where we discuss the past, present, and future of the Miami Dolphins. Right now, the only thing we got to talk about is future. May talk about a little bit of past today, though. Interesting. So Tua comes out after the loss to the Chargers and basically starts pointing a few fingers. Now, first and foremost, and I know people are going to come at me, that's okay. I don't really have a problem in general. The one problem I do have is he didn't technically answer the question. The question that was posed was, how do you guys keep an upbeat, try to stay positive, basically, is what the guy asked. And Tua basically turns it around and goes into, well, we still have guys not showing up to team meetings, which they turned around and said, well, it wasn't a team meeting, it was a position meetings. And honestly, it all is BS. It does not matter in the scheme of things. You're 1-5. None of this matters. Everybody needs to be just looking in the mirror and trying to figure out what they can do to help this team. Tua, brother, I love you, but you're not helping this team. Which, again, for all the Tua haters, he's probably going to be gone next year anyway. So, again, doesn't really matter. I am a Tua fan. I came on late because I did not want Tua on this team. But the one thing I do like about Tua is his candidness. As you see, most fans, also the media in general, it's always a constant. Can't get nothing out of these guys. I wish they would just be honest. I wish they would just tell us up front what's going on. Then when somebody does, as soon as somebody does, then it's, man, that should have been kept in-house. You don't want to put that out there. That's horrible. You can't have it both ways. And Tua has been very honest with his answers. Now, again, the only thing that bothers me is the fact that wasn't the question. He never answered the question. But I get the frustration. I understand, like, when he came out about it doesn't matter if I throw 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions, I'm going home to my family, and in the thick of things, it doesn't matter. I get what he's saying. And everybody lost their mind because this guy is not Miami Dolphins football 24/7. None of these guys can be that 24/7. That you wouldn't. You do have kids. It's called neglect, people, if you're not there for your kids and your family. So the way he put it, I get why people are kind of like, he didn't have to put it that way. You know, he could have came out and just been, hey, I get to see my family, and that's how I cope. That's, whether it's a win or a loss, I cope with things through my family and my family's love. But he added the whole, hey, at the end of the day, it don't matter if I throw 5 interceptions or 5 touchdowns. I'm going home to my family. I understand what he's saying, but it also makes it sound, brother, like you don't care whether you throw 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions. It's the wording. But I understand where he was coming from. I also understand why people would be a little peeved about it. But then you had Mike Tomlin come out and basically rip the Cleveland Browns for sending Joe Flacco, to Cincinnati. And nobody's... Chad Johnson and Sterling Sharp, on their show, it was discussed, and they were like, Chad Johnson didn't have a problem with Mike Tomlin's candor on this. The fact that it's kind of stupid. You're literally a guy that you had starting at the beginning of the season. Well, Cincinnati is struggling at the quarterback position, so we're going to trade him to a division rival. Mike Tomlin, completely correct. That is insane to do. But when asked, okay, so Mike Tomlin's words are okay, but the candor of Tua Tagovailoa, nope, I don't like that. I don't like that. That stays in-house. Now, the word dumpster fire is being used a lot in talking about the Miami Dolphins. And it is. It's a dumpster landfill. It is a complete garbage of fire at this point. So you can forget the dumpster. They're just burning in the distance of garbage on top of garbage. And the interesting thing is, Mike McDaniel, who is the biggest Tua supporter there has been, and it does kind of feel like Tua is kind of throwing his coach under the bus, because he's the biggest supporter that Tua has had. He took this job because of Tua. Nobody wanted it. Mike McDaniel didn't interview for any other NFL head coaching job except Miami. And Miami is telling all these head coaches, we want you, but you got to work with Tua, and you got to keep the defensive coordinator that we have. Nobody's going to work with that. You're handcuffing everybody involved. I get that you wanted Tua. It was Ross loves him. They drafted him. Greer drafted him. So they wanted to be able to have somebody to work with him, and I understand that. But you can't tell a head coach to come in, but you have to work with all the pieces that we have. You got to make that work. Unless you're Don Shula, that's not happening, because it's like Bum Phillips said. Don Shula is one of the few coaches, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. Again, this is a quote from Bum Phillips. He can take his'n and beat yourn, and he can take yourn and beat his'n. That's what great coaches do. That's what great coaches do. You take what your player does best, and you take your scheme and fit that player. Most coaches can't do it, especially the modern day coaches can't do it. They want the player that is going to fit their system. They cannot take somebody who doesn't fit their system and make it work. But in the good old days, Mr. Shula could. Yes, he could. And my point of this is, like I said, you can't have it both ways. Either you admire what Tua said about being honest, basically being honest about it, even though that wasn't the question. But it just shows how big of a dumpster fire this is. A lot of finger pointing at this point. And at this point, I don't know if you bench Tua. I would be okay with it. if they did, we may as well see what we got in these other guys. But Tua does look a little shell-shocked. And behind this offensive line, who can blame him? And there's been so much said that I'm not sure if Mike McDaniel has lost the locker room, but now it seems like Tua has lost the locker room. And that's big. Because Tua is one of the leaders on this football team. And you've got to go, again, you got the PR response. That's what most people do. And it's what most people are sick of. Oh, it's a PR response. You know, I don't want to hear that. Just tell us the truth. But if somebody does come out and basically tell you the truth, then you're pissed off because of the fact, you can't say that. It's not that. Yeah, you can't have it both ways. So Patrick Paul, the offensive linemen, were asked about Tua's comments. Their silence was deafening. And you can tell, Zach Sealer was the same way. You can tell this has ruffled some feathers inside that locker room. I love Rasul Douglas. I even wrote his quote down. He said, "I'm not used to losing. Each week we find new ways to lose." Absolutely. Absolutely. We find new ways to lose. You have to look in the mirror and ask, what can I do better without blaming anyone else? Pretty sure that was a straight shot at Tua. And deserving. You know, if you're not going to keep it in-house and you're going to throw my boys under the bus, then expect some pushback. Now, maybe they can work it out and all that good stuff. The locker room might be fine, but losing does not cure locker room woes. Because at the end of the day, some of these guys are fixing to cash in their chips and just collect a paycheck for the rest of the year. And I still maintain that's you've got to, right now is the time to watch that and get rid of those players. Find out who wants to be here. Find out who is working. And will somebody, speaking of working, will somebody explain to me why Willie Gay is still not on the field? I don't think he was in a single play in that Chargers game. And nothing against Britt. But you can't find a series for this guy that every time he's on the field, he's making plays. The Dolphins have become your father's high school coach team, where I have my favorites, and that's the guys that are going to play. And you can't coach that way. And there's a lot of that goes on in the NFL. A lot of that goes on in the NFL. You look at, and I'm completely lost, please leave a comment. The Giants running back that they've got right now looks really good. And how does he get overlooked when you really look at his college? His blocking was amazing. But, nobody's interested in him. And, man, is he showing people that they made a mistake. And those are the guys you want on your team. Guys that are going to fight. But here we are. It's like, got to get Julian Hill in there. And don't get me wrong, I love Devon Achane. But Ollie Gordon needs to get some touches. You basically traded up to get Jalen Wright. I know he's been injured, but he was a healthy scratch for this Chargers game. A healthy scratch. Why? So point being, and leave a comment. Let me know. Hey, are you against what Tua said? Are you okay with what Tua said? And again, past examples, I like usually Tua being open and honest and being overly honest in a lot of his answers. I love that about it. Again, the thing that irks me just a little bit on this one is because that was not the question that was asked to him, and he just basically blurted out things that had nothing to do with the question that was asked. Now, I get there's frustration on this football team, but this is one of those I totally get why the team would turn on him right now. Because you have not been Devon Achane. And I get it. You went down the field 6 for 6. You got the winning score, and the defense gave that score up. What happened to you in the third quarter? -6 total yards in the third quarter of that game. You don't think that had a little bit to do with that ending? I'm sorry, Tua, but I love you, brother. I love you, and I hope I hoped that you could work it out in Miami. I don't see that happening now. Well, actually, I didn't see it happening before. I felt like whoever came in as head coach is going to want their own quarterback. That's just how the NFL works. I need to make that comment real quick. A lot of people are talking about who we're going to get. Now, I feel like there's not a lot of people out there. There's a lot of talk about Rex Ryan. I don't want Rex Ryan. I get he done well with the Jets, but there was also a whole lot of tensions with the Jets. Now, his players did love him. I'm not a fan of it. I would rather us continue with what we're doing as far as at least getting younger head coaches, or at least somebody with a little bit of which we're going to do the anti-McDaniel. I've said this in my other videos. It's going to be anti-McDaniel. Whoever we get is going to be a hard-nosed, old-school type of coach. Now, Rex Ryan absolutely fits that bill. I just personally wasn't a fan of Rex Ryan's coaching myself. But it is what it is. So my point is, I'm a reactor. I react to the news that is given to me. So I'm not going to brainstorm, I'd like to have this person or that person. I haven't looked at anybody right now. I don't know who's out there. I know, okay, there's a couple that, but I'm not going to bring it up right now just because again, I'm a reactor. Because it doesn't really matter. I can come on here, we should do this and we should do that. It doesn't really matter. Because they're going to do what they want to do. And right now, what they're going to do is they're going to rewind this back. The only way this starts getting better, Chris Greer's got to go. And I don't think Chris Greer is going anywhere. I hope I'm wrong. Now, should Mike McDaniel go? Yes, Mike McDaniel should go too. I think he's going to be a really good offensive coordinator in this league. But he has got to learn how to be a head coach, because he has no clue how to be a head coach. Good offensive coordinator. And, well, I say that, but his play calling has been horrid. So maybe not even a good, maybe a positions coach. Maybe go back to a running back, because I still ain't figured out he was a running backs coach, called plays for the running backs, but yet we never run the ball. I don't know. But anyway, the dumpster's fire that is the Miami Dolphins, or I'm going to call it the landfill fire, because it's way bigger than a dumpster. So leave a comment. Let me know what your ideas are. Was Tua out of line? Yeah, he was. But do you think you should be able to do it? Because, like I said, you can't have it both ways. Either you want the guy to be honest, or you want the guy to keep everything politically correct. Public relations, if you will. PR answers. And I like the fact that Tua was usually honest. I just didn't like the way he did this one. So he'll answer to his teammates for that, and we'll see how it goes against Cleveland. And I will be getting that preview out to you guys hopefully by Friday afternoon, probably, or Friday dinner time, maybe. I don't know. And we'll talk about those Cleveland Browns. Good defense. Very good defense. Decent running game. We're so screwed. Guys, make good decisions. Fins up for the future, baby. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think the Dolphins should do. And was Tua over the line?